All right, starting from here. Thank you, Chloe. So Kyle, when you see this, I'm going to just take this playhead. And now I can't see my playhead. I can't move it. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing again here. I'm just going to put the playhead right on his collar. And instead of the contact down, passing an up movement, that little sine wave we talked about last week, it looks like his collar is just wobbling around. So be more strict with the sine wave, the contact down, passing up positions of his collar, the shirt itself, and the top of his hat. It looks like there's like a family of rats living in his hat, and it's just kind of undulating around. So give his hat just a little bit more structure. I think you've got just a few lines to tweak, because you do have like a tilt to his head, which is kind of cool. But make sure it doesn't look like it's wobbling around, as opposed to going through the animation phases of contact down, passing it up. So it looks good. I think you could just make a few little tweaks to it. Thank you, Kyle. Ryan.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, it's not in
What's that?
720, is it?
What?
I don't think I made it in 720 or whatever.
No, that's okay. All right, so whenever I do this, I always just look at one part at a time. So the feet look like they're okay. That you have this like little triangle for them, which is fine. And the hands look okay. You've got just one hand, which I think is okay. And now I'm looking at the upper feet here, the upper legs, sorry. And I can see that you've got a contact point where the near part of the femur would be attached to his hip. And instead of using anatomy to guide that, it looks like it's just kind of flapping around randomly. I think that you really want to lock that down. But before you lock it down, really figure out where the shoulder, which I think is okay, but you've got like, it almost like you've got like a little squash and stretch going on him, which is in the body, which is kind of a difficult thing to talk about with a walk cycle. There's one book, I think it's the Tony White book for animation, where they talk about this character who's really fat. And as he's walking, his belly like delays, and he does this. So it's like vroom, 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 And I think that if you wanted to make him look like he was a really, really chubby guy, you could do that. And what I'm doing with my hands here is actually a really good way to study it. So you get the up and down motion on his body, and then you give him a fat belly that drags behind it. You can try this. Just try to do it yourself and say, how do I get the drag happening? Right? So I think with just a little anatomy, you could make it a little better. I think that the facial features jump a little bit too much. Try to smooth that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Try to
Okay.
smooth that out. I think you've got most of it. Yeah, the one more alarming thing is just the body changing shape and size just a little too radically.
Yeah.
Did you follow my directions on doing the head, neck, and body first, up and down? Because it looks like you just drew it over and over again.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I did.
Well,
I had your video open, so but I wasn't rewatching it in its entirety. It was just kind of.
I think that that's the whole trick, is that you just draw one head, neck, and body, and then you copy and paste it into the correct positions. Remember what we did on this one, on this one was we did the head, neck, and body, and then I wrote the little things right here. Remember these little 3 and 6 right here?
Right.
Because I said key number 1, that was fine. That's our first number key. And then I went to the second, which is a drawing number 3, which is technically a breakdown. And I tested it. When I copy and pasted it into the second position, I used the arrow key and I said, oh, look, 1, 2, 3 little nudges of the arrow. That's what that 3 right here means. Any of these purple numbers are 3 down. And then the 5 position, which was the down position, I tweaked it 6. So I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in the 9 position, or 7 position, it's only 3. I nudged it down 3. And then the 1, 9, 17, and 25, I just copy and pasted them and left them alone because on our wave line, they're in exactly the same place. See that? So the little jelly bean, that little red dot right there, if you can imagine there's a jelly bean on top of his head, it's in exactly the same place on this drawing. 1, 9, 17, and 25. It doesn't move. And he should just be going up and down. So 5 and 21 are nudged down 6 little pixels with the mouse, with the arrow key, and then the opposite for the upper position. So 11, 15, 27, and 31 are all 3 nudges up, and then 13 and 29 are 6 nudges up. And that's what we did first. That's the very first thing we did, is we got that little jelly bean to work on this sine wave. So when we look at yours, I think you gave yourself way too much work.
Yeah.
You drew it over and over again. I think that what you could try to do is take the head and the body layer and turn them off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then follow along with my directions on just head, neck, and body, and doing the nudge thing. It might fix it perfectly, right? Try that fix first. It's really easy.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Delilah,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm doing great.
You are all going to discover that run cycles are much easier. They're much more forgiving. The walk is always the thing that defines you as an animator. How do you approach it? How technical are you? Okay, so this is good. The head, neck, and body are okay. Arms are moving. Yeah, the only thing I think you could use is just a little bend in the feet as it goes into the front part of the walk. You know, remember, let's see mine. So I'm just going to nudge it. So on that light blue foot right there, you see the foot is bending a little bit.
Yes.
And on the blue foot, as it starts to come forward, it bends just a little bit right there. That's all you need, is just a few frames of bending.
Oh,
And because I think, and it'll loosen it up because it's just looking a little stiff. Same thing with the arms. I think that if you get the arms to be more straight in the front and back positions, then you're good. But this is a good walk cycle.
okay.
You followed all the directions, you got the bend in the feet. Yeah, it's good. Did you show everybody you've ever met?
Yes.
Good. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey! Tristan,
Yep, right here.
how are you?
Unusually tired today.
Okay, yeah, again, I just look at one thing at a time. The head, neck, and body are correct. The arms are correct. The position of the feet are correct. But there is just one little thing that I think that you would like to fix, that you would like to tweak. And I want you to play along with me here. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to take it to frame 1, and I'm going to draw. So right now you've got a hip that's about right here. So the femur is like this, right? I'm gonna just do your tibia and fibula as one line. So there's your knee, okay?
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm gonna nudge this forward. I'm gonna switch over to QuickTime, hold on. It's not letting me do it. Can I do it now? It won't let me command it. Well, what's happening is that this part of your leg is shrinking, it's telescoping. And so instead of bending your knee forward, your leg just shortens. I'm gonna leave that little drawing right there. I'm gonna go back to QuickTime and I'm gonna nudge this, watch. Hey, hey. Why is it not behaving? There we go. All right, so look at his foot. See how it looks like it's telescoping right there? The bottom leg looks like it's getting shorter, especially right there in that drawing right there. So if the tibia and fibula are this long right here from your original first keyframe, then look at how short you've got it.
Oh, this.
So I think you just need to tweak it in terms of anatomy, because at speed, let me move this over away from the, you see it telescoping just a little bit?
Yeah, I do now.
And I think what's actually happening is that everything is okay, but the drawing right here, these two drawings, the bottom leg gets really long. So get the foot to bend more right there.
Okay.
That's the last frame. So it's a few frames right before the last few drawings. So it shrinks right here in the first, in drawings 3, 5, and 7. And then when the leg starts to go back into the position, the last few drawings gets really long. So over the course of time, it looks like your lower leg is telescoping. So just make that tweak. And it looks like it might be just a little bit more obvious in the right leg than it is in the left leg. And see if you can just tweak it. It'll make it better.
Okay.
Okay, refresh. Did anyone just now upload? James?
Yeah, I uploaded a couple things. One was the walk, and the other one was a water splash that I uploaded before, but we never went over.
Okay. Oh, it looks just like mine.
Yeah, I literally, the idea, I'm not done. I didn't put like my own character into it, but I just took your thing and redid it to try to learn from it. And then I was going to kind of use it to guide me to make my own.
Right. So you did good. It's just like the demo. So now my suggestion would just be to put your own character in there.
Yeah, keep going. That's why I submitted it late, is I was like, I'm not done. I'm gonna finish this later. And then I was like, I might as well submit.
Yeah, it's there. I think you got the mechanics correct. Good.
Cool.
Yay! All right. And then you said you had a
Like
splash.
I like the splash thing. It's like
Your water splash.
water splash, yes.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay.
And kind of the same thing where I actually redrew it and I want to make it all pretty in Procreate. I like traced all the frames into Procreate, but this is kind of like I did this on Rough Animator and I wanted to get the outline down and the sketch down.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that you're missing the cone on this frame.
What do you mean?
So on this frame right here is where the contact of the rock hit the water.
Okay.
So this is a cone. And then on
Mhm.
this drawing, it's missing.
Oh, yeah, I kind of removed that, so I should leave the cone partially, probably.
Well, remember, it is supposed to be three-dimensional. So
Okay.
I think that, let me just check and see. So you've got it on the other drawings, but it's missing on this one.
Oh, yeah, there it goes.
And then get your ripples in there.
Okay, yeah,
The
good.
overall mechanics look good. And I think that on this demo, we did the secondary splash. So this rock comes in and it kerplunks into the water. It pushes the water out in all directions. And then as soon as it gets a foot or two under the water, the air pocket gives another splash straight up.
Oh, yeah.
So go back and look at the demo. That part's missing. But
Okay.
the main part looks good.
Oh,
Yeah, the main part looks good. The only thing that's really semi-egregious, just in terms of animation or art, what have you, is that, remember, you are three-dimensional. So if your
oh,
cone
yeah,
is here,
totally.
if your cone is here, then that means it's going to splash water out in all directions, and that this should be a circle in perspective, as opposed to making it look like it's just a straight line. So
Totally.
yeah, make sure that you get a couple of water splashes that hit the surface of the water right around here and right around here and even here, to make sure that it looks three-dimensional.
Okay,
It
cool.
looks good. It looks good.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Okay, well, let's take a 15-minute break. Everyone gets a break except Chloe, because she's evil. Take a 15-minute break, please. Okay. So remember that there was a lot going on here in just in terms of all the planning stuff, all the layout stuff. So let me just go through all of this one more time. The first thing that we did was draw our main keyframe back there. And our main keyframe was just on this layer, I think. No. It's the gray drawing back there. So it has to be either one of these two. So we just drew our head, line of action, gave our character a neck and a body. And remember, I was asking all of you to be bipedal, that we were looking at just being in the side view. Right here, it says side view. This walk cycle is going to be in place. It's going to be 24 frames per second. It's total of a 32 frame walk cycle. So what we had done was talk about how many paces that the character was taking during 10 seconds. And I made the comment about walking in the classroom and taking 10 steps, 10 paces, and doing that over and over again, a couple of 3 or 4 times, and stopping the stopwatch. And it comes out to somewhere around 1.5 seconds, which is 36 frames. That's what these numbers over here mean. But we need to concentrate on the animation part of it, which was the contact down, passing, and up for both the left and the right foot. And what that meant is that we have 8 different keys. And if we have 8 keys on 2s, that's a total of 16 frames. But 8 keys on 4s is 32 frames. So that's what these keys are. The keys are 1, 5, 9, 13. And 1 is identical to 17 in terms of silhouette. 5 is identical to 21 in silhouette. 9 is identical to 25. And 13 is identical to 29 in silhouette, or close enough to it. And then we talked about doing the in-betweens, about getting 3, 7, 11, and 5, 15, 19, 23, 27, and 31 are in-betweens, but we can do this with 4 main keys. And the next thing we did was come over here, and we drew our contact down, passing, and up for the little jelly bean on top of the character's head. This little indication thing over here was me talking about some studios write 32X for frames, some studios write 32F for frames, 32FR. I use the little square with a line down the middle of it because that's how they indicate that there's a cinematic connection to animation. All right, and then with this little graph right here, we see that the little jelly bean on the top of the head, this is just review, that we go from 1, 5 is down, 9 is passing, but it's in the same relative place as drawing number 1. 13 is in the up position, and then 17 is in the exact same position as drawing 1. Drawing 1 and drawing 17 are identical to each other in terms of silhouette. And then following along, 21 is in the down position, 25 is in the same position as 1, and 29 is the up position. So the 2 up positions are 13 and 19. The 2 down positions are 5 and 21. And this is just very, very typical way to approach your first animated walk cycle. All right, and then again, this is just a review, but we'll go over this again, is that we take this sine wave, which a character would use if they're walking across the stage, and devolve it down to just the jelly bean going up and down because the walk cycle is in place. She's walking on a treadmill. And when we do that, the jelly bean is just going to go from this position right here, and then it's going to go down and then back up and all the way up and then back down again. And what we determined was that the drawings 1, 9, 17, and 25 are in the exact same X, Y, Z coordinate. I'm sorry, Y and Z coordinate. And the 5 and 21 are in the same position. 13 and 29 are in the same position. And then so too are 11, 15, 27, and 31. Just if we were to draw a line right across here. And then the bottom would be 3, 7, 9, and 13. It's just a really easy way to remember how you nudge the head, neck, and body. Because you just draw it once. And then we went to the second position for our head. I think this is the head, neck, and body here. Let me make sure. So that's my head, neck, and body right there. And I just drew it once, just head, neck, body. Make sure that the line of action is correct, that there's a forward lean. And I copy and pasted it so that when we pasted it on frame number 3, all we had to do is nudge it down with my arrow key 3 pixels. And then we pasted it again. And on drawing 5, we nudged it down 6 pixels. And then on drawing 7, we nudged it down 3. And then on 9, we didn't nudge it at all. And then on 11, we nudged it up 3, 13 up 6, and we just copy and pasted the head. So we were just nudging it up and down. And the first thing we did was just test it, just to make sure the head, neck, and body were going up and down correctly. And I didn't nudge it incorrectly or skip a frame or make sure it was going backwards. And then we did the foot. And in order to do the foot, we drew this arc right here. And this arc right here starts on frame number 1. And I should have named these layers here. I think this is the leg layer. This is the right leg layer. So I'll just say R leg. And I remember doing this last week. I wonder why I didn't keep it. So that's my right leg. This is the head, neck, and body. So that this should be the left or the right arm. No, this is the left leg. And then this one should be the right arm. And it's just easy to keep it on separate layers when you're first doing this rather than trying to do it all at once. Remember that there are lots of different approaches to doing a walk cycle. This is just, at least from my experience, just what, even though it's complicated, it's still the easiest one to understand. All right, reviewing. We drew this arc that the ankle moves along parallel to the ground plane for the right and the left leg. And we use the ankle because it's easy to track it rather than the bottom of the foot or the toe. And the arc just very simply looks like this. One of the things I did not talk about last week was the idea that you can, if you have a strange character walk cycle, that the walk is going to be on the ground plane and then it's going to do something really funny, or that it can be very cartoony. You know, there's all kinds of ways to describe this upper arc. It can be very shallow and then going to the ground plane again. Sometimes it can go backwards and then a bit higher in the front. And it's up to you to just experiment with what these up in the air positions look like for the ankle. Again, I always just use the ankle because the toe moves around too much. So that's what we did. We determined that this arc of motion is there. If you go and look at your animation textbooks, you'll see something very similar to this in most of your textbooks, as long as they're doing it technically the right way. And then you just follow along with your ankle positions. This is drawing 1 for the ankle position, and this is drawing 17, because 1 and 17 are the same drawing, except for the silhouette. And then you just block it out. You make sure that the foot is, the ankle is, and the foot are moving at an even place along this arc of motion. And then when it hits the ground plane, that it has to be very, very even along the ground plane, because he's walking on a treadmill and the treadmill does not slow down or speed up. And then you number it so that you don't get confused. 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. And I just did the key positions on this arc. And then you just know where the in-betweens are by the little hash marks in between them. And then we did the same thing for the wrist positions. And drawing 1's wrist is here, drawing 17's wrist is here. And I drew a little rubber band shape just to keep track of where the in-betweens are going to go. And again, it's in order: 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 29. And then we put the little in-betweens in there so we know where the wrist positions are going. All right, so then as long as you got the head, neck, and body, we did the foot. We just did this foot moving first. And so that's one thing that you always look at, is just look at that foot to make sure it's moving correctly. You know, that it's coming up on the toe, the knee is bending a little bit. And then the next thing we did was look at that right leg. We looked to make sure that we were borrowing this first frame right off the key, and the other one we did separately. But in this frame right here, we just animated the leg. Oh, hold on a second. I hate this about Rough Animator. We just animated this right leg roughly, and we put the knee position in there to make sure it was bending and then becoming a little bit more straight as it hit the ground plane, and then moving backwards. And we just did this right leg, just did that right leg. And then we played it, just looking to make sure that there was enough bend in it. Nothing was going backwards. It looked clean. On our head, neck, and body, I remember advising you to put a little circle for where the deltoid is, where the shoulder is, and a little crosshair for where the femur connects to the pelvis. Then we got that right leg working, and then we did the right arm. And then when we got this right arm working, we did the right arm, we did the right hand first, getting it to work on its arc first to make sure that it wasn't going backwards. And we got all the positions, and then we tested it, looking just at the right arm. And we tweaked like a couple of positions there. I believe when we got to this position, when we pasted this position, we tilted it backwards a little bit, and in the front we tilted it frontwards just a little bit. And remember when we did that, if I can just emulate this just a little bit, is that you see that there was a rotation point, and we put the rotation point on the wrist before we copied and pasted it, so that when we did paste it, that pivot point would be in the same place. So all we had to do is tweak it just a little bit. We could even tweak this one just a little bit more right here, and it should be fine. Okay, and then we did the away foot. Then we did when we did the left leg here, then we did this lighter color blue, and I advise you to just give a tiny bit of shading instead of trying to color it in all dark. That's a bad way to do it. It's not the easiest way to do it. All right, and then we moved that right leg. Yeah, Rough Animator just hates me sometimes. I don't know what it is about the Mac version. Oh, it hates me. No, so we did the light blue foot, and I recommended that we put it on its own ground plane, a right and a left ground plane, just because there was a sense of perspective in there. And we got the foot to move, and I'm just looking at that little triangle. We could see there was rotating into the first position here, and then it worked, and then we did the left foot. I mean the left leg. We did all of the drawings for the left leg. And there were a couple there we didn't have to worry about it because it's behind the near leg. We just got it to work. And then we did the away arm, the left arm. And in the left arm, all we had to really do was get the first position off the keyframe. And then as we animated it going forward, we did just the elbow, just the hand, and then maybe a little bit. And then there's 2 drawings where we don't really see it. And then the 3rd drawing, we see the hand coming out. And then we got to animate it going backwards. So the away arm is always very easy. And that was our main demonstration for doing the walk cycle. So this is just very straight ahead, 8 main keyframes, 8 main keyframes here. Doing the in-betweens was just looking at your first key and your next key. And we said, hey, on this drawing, we were going to turn our onion skin on. And the onion skin, we were going from blue into green. And it made it just a little difficult because the blue, I think it was red into green, and we were just doing the blue. And so that got us through our main walk cycle. So let us think about a couple of things that are just a little different here. Everybody ready? Are you ready, ready, ready? So that gets you through your walk cycle. That's a very idealistic first approach to a walk cycle. But what I want to do now is I want to look at the Richard Williams drawing again. Remember, Richard Williams, the animator's survival kit, is just the best 2D animated walk cycle. Drawing and image. And because I've searched it so many times on my computer, it's just remembering. But what we're looking for is the Richard Williams. So this is the start of the Richard Williams. This is just this is like one of those other ways of doing it, where you just animate the head and body and the legs just first. Just contact down, passing up, contact down, passing up. So this is the exact same drawing as this one, but this one just has the legs on it, the arms on it. All right, so when we were talking about this last week, remember that I talked to all of you about this gait, this stride. And remember that Richard Williams is like probably one of the most brilliant animators ever out there. He just really took to his craft and his art, and he understood it perfectly. He was trained by the Disney masters. He was really great at the very technical stuff, but he was always very artistic as well. The correct version of The Thief and the Cobbler is an amazing film. Okay, so having said that, one of the things that we missed about this was the arm positions in this down, in this stride position here. And we didn't really break our leg very much. So what I would like to do is just add that to our discussion, just to show you what true asynchronous overlapping action looks like. As long as you understand what we were doing with this demonstration piece here, let's talk about doing our arms just a little differently. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right arm and turn it off. I'm going to turn my left arm off as well. I'm going to come back into this at about 150%. And what I'm also going to do is take let's identify which layer this was. This is we're just going to call this numbers. And then this layer was our background. We'll just call it BG. All right, so I'm going to take the numbers and just turn them off right here. I'm going to turn it back on just a little bit because I want to see just this arm position for a second. And I'm going to add a layer in here. I'm going to show you an intermediate approach to doing a walk cycle, if you so choose to do this way. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're looking at layer number 8. And in layer number 8, we're just going to call this right arm 2. But on our numbers layer, I think I want a new number. So I want to add a modify layer, and I'm going to bring this layer on right here. This is going to be numbers 2. All right, so on the right arm layer here, I want this, I'm going to use a different color of blue, maybe something more towards the greenish. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to come from the deltoid, get my elbow. This position for the little mitten looks okay. Get the top of the lower arm, that's okay. And let's get the other arm and hand in there. Okay, so now what I want to do is that's on this layer here. So let me just make sure I put it on the right layer. Good. On this layer, what I'm going to do is go back. I want to grab this and put it here. Just keep that color, that little turquoise color. All right, so on this numbers 2 layer, I'm going to use a different red, and I'm going to copy. Oops, I don't want it that thick. I'm going to draw very lightly. This new arc right here. And you can almost see that what I had done last week was almost start to emulate what I was doing today. What I'm going to do on this numbers 2 layer is draw that arc out over here so that you can see it just a little more clearly. And you can see that I've very carefully put drawing number 1 right here. It's not all the way at the end right there. And you can see that I've taken drawing 17 and made it right here. So I'm just going to put that mark right there. I'm going to put a little dot right there and another little dot right there. And explain, because what's happening is that when you're going into the down position, the arms reach their extreme west and east positions. Now, if you look at this and you study this drawing right here from Richard Williams, it works, you know, but remember, this is very exaggerated, that he goes from drawing 1 into drawing 5, and drawing 5, the arms have reached their spread at extreme. But by drawing number 9, the arms have fully come back into the passing position already. And then in the up position, they're a little bit more forward. So there's a big jump between drawing 5 and drawing 9 right here. If you do it, if you follow this as Richard Williams has drawn it, it can be a little confusing, because if you look at the arm, his right arm and hand right here, it goes backwards. And then in the next keyframe 9, it goes all the way where the leg is. And then in drawing 13, it's already forward again, right? And then this is a copy of this arm right here. So this technically is where drawing 17 is. But if you're not paying attention, drawing 21 is here. And it's in this arm right here. Look at how long this arm is. I mean, it looks like a fin almost. And it is correct, but a lot of the students trying to follow this always miss this arm position. Again, I think this is really, really exaggerated. Nobody walks like this. Even tall people, even Jack Skellington really didn't walk like this. So this is really exaggerated. You know, look at some of these others. This is a pretty standard walk cycle here. You know, the gait right here looks pretty normal. This looks pretty normal for a cartoony. This is pretty normal. This is normal. And so Richard Williams, I think, is just exaggerating this to make a point. But nobody walks like this. It's like, whoa, you know, it's like, and this isn't even a run walk. It's just a regular standard timed out walk, but it's just very elaborate, exaggerated. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at this and we're going to say, so what happens here is that if 1 is here and 17 is here, then 5 is the extreme position. So that's here. That's 5. Let me number these like we've got it from the original. Sorry, I got it backwards. All right, so this is drawing 1 position. This is 17. Oh, sorry. This is the 17 position. So 5 is right here. So instead of 5 starting to go backwards already, 5 is going out. And then this ends up becoming drawing 9. And then 17 is here, and then 21 is here. And then we follow through with 25. So 25 and 19 are right across from each other, and 1 and 9 are right across from each other, as opposed to our original drawings where we had drawing number 5 and 29 right across from each other. So they're timed differently. The asynchronous action is timed differently. So we're missing 2 keys. Let's find out where they are. 1, 5, 9, and 13 is missing. All right, so what I'm going to do on this numbers 2 is talk about 2 things in terms of what animation is. So a favor, and then I'm going to write extreme favor. These are 2 concepts of how to deal with timing. So if I say 1, 5, 9, and I'm going to put the 13 drawing right in the middle, that is neither a favor or an extreme favor. If I say I'm going to go from the 9 position and I'm going to put drawing 13 right here, then that means it's favoring the 9 position. Okay, does everyone understand? It's like 1, 5, 9, and 13 is closer to 9 than it is to 17. So this is a favor. Okay, everyone okay with this? And then if I go 17, 21, 25, and my next key is 29, I should mimic the action here on 29 and say this is favoring this position as well. Now, this is a bit more realistic action here. And I'll show you what it looks like in the animation here in just a little bit. But let's talk about this extreme favor. When we say in our chart that drawing number 1 is a key, and drawing number 5 is a key, and that drawing number 9 is a key, just going in motion here. And then I'm going to copy the 9, put it here. And then the next key is 13. And then 17. I'm going to draw this a little smaller just so we can see it. All right, so technically what we have done is we have taken this 13 position and put it into a favor. It is favoring the 9 position, but it's a key. So it's favoring, it's closer to 9. And as an animator, you always want to look, even though it's a key, pay attention to where the 2 keys are adjacent to it. Because if we say 1 is a key and it's going into 5, and 5 is a key and it's going into 9, I can do an extreme favor. I can say, hey, look, I'm going to put the hand for drawing 3 right here. And I'm going to put the hand and the arm for drawing 7 right here. And these are extreme favors. So I'm going to extreme favor drawings 3 and drawing 7 with the hand positions. And so on my little arc, I would go like this. And so I'm favoring, this is an extreme favor to drawing 5. Drawing 5 then becomes a very important drawing. All right, so then we're going here, and we're going to say 9 going into 13, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. And if I put it in at half, like that, I should be okay. So drawing 11 is half. So that's half. But 13 going into 17, I'm going to favor 13 by making it a third. I'm sorry, drawing 15 by making it a third. So this is going to be, and this little chart looks like this. So there's no drawing here, but drawing 15 is a favor to drawing 13. All right, so what this would look like here is that this is the half position. And then this is the quarter position. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit and just put it right here. 5 going into 9. And so if I have the middle is out, so this is the middle, and then 7, the quarter position is out. And then if I go like this, 7 is out, the quarter position's out, then this is the 7 is an extreme favor. The 7 is an extreme favor to 5. It's not even half, it's not even a quarter, it's an extreme favor. So these are two concepts that we can add to our discussion about a walk cycle. And then we do the same thing going backwards. So we've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and that's on thirds. And then as we go 17, that's our main key. And then we're going to do extreme favor for 19 and an extreme favor for 23. And then 27 will be half. And then going from 29 back into 1, we'll use this same thirds right here and we'll put drawing 31 right here. So let's mark drawing 15 and 31. And if you want to, you can call it a breakdown because it really truly is a breakdown. But this makes a cluster. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drawings right here where they're clustered together on the left and on the right side. So clustering is always an example of an extreme favor. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this back onto our main arc right here, and we're going to follow through. So this is drawing 1. This is drawing 9. Circle it. This is drawing 5. Circle it. It's a key. This is drawing 17 right here. Circle it. This is drawing 21. Circle it. Right across from 17 is 25 now. And then figure out where the other two keys. So we said 13 is going to be about right here. And then 29 is going to be about right here. Now let's check and make sure we have all our keys. 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 27. Okay, we got it all. Now let's do the breakdown positions. This is an extreme favor. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 11 is half. 15 is the third. And we're not going to number it. We're just going to put the little hash marks in there. These are extreme favor. 27 to 29 is going to be half. It's the same as 11. And then an extreme favor on thirds from 29 into 1. And this will be our 31 position. So this is our thirds position. So let's take 15 and 31 and just underline them, because those are the two that are on thirds instead of half or an extreme favor. All right, so this is half. This is what half looks like in a chart. This is what thirds looks like in a chart. And then this is what an extreme favor looks like in a chart. Sometimes when animators are drawing this, they'll be really sloppy and they'll say 1 and they'll go 5 and they'll just go like this. And they won't even put the number in for 3. Or they'll make it a little bit more like that. And they'll say, this is an extreme favor. They won't even put the number. Sometimes they'll just write EF, where it's an extreme favor. And the same thing going backwards. They're going 5 into 9, and they'll just go like that for 7. Some of these charts here can be really sloppy. I always like to make my charts really clean. All right, so everyone okay with this? Do I have any questions? So all we're doing is just talking about an alternate way of doing the asynchronous action on the arms and hands. All right, so we've got drawing number 1 in there. Let us now do the same thing that we did last week. I'm going to copy, oh, hold on a second. Let's copy this really cleanly. Let's put the pivot point right at the wrist and copy it. All right, so now, well, that's weird. Hopefully I did it on the right layer. Hold on. I think it picked it up properly. So this is on for twos. We want a drawing afterwards. We're going to paste, and it got the hand in the right position. So now we're going to zoom in on this. And we're going to just look at the hand going from, well, this is 17. So let's take 17's position and actually put it on the right place. And then this one, hey, paste. So let's put it at, now this is the 19 position. So this is the extreme favor. We're not going to bend this one, copy it, add a drawing, paste it. This is the 21 position. We can rotate this one a little bit. Hold on a second. I copy and pasted the wrong thing. There we go. All right, so now I'm on drawing 9. And 9 and 25 are the same, so it's right here. It's opposite, so 25 and 9 are right, they're still right across from each other when you're doing the opposites on the chart. All right, so now let's follow our new positions here. Let's follow our new positions. All right, so now we're drawing 11. So now 11 is right. I'm sorry, it matches. Drawing 11 matches 27. It's right there. Paste it. 29. You can rotate it a little bit, copy it, add a drawing, paste it. 15 and 31. 15 and 31 match. Start to rotate it forward. Copy it, paste it. This is drawing 17 and 1 are identical. Start to rotate it forward. Copy it, add a drawing after, paste it. This is the extreme favor. This is copying for position drawing number 3. So that matches drawing 19. Copy it, add a drawing after, paste it. This is the extreme position. This is our 5 and 21 position. So I'm not going to copy that one. I'm just going to add a frame. I'm going to paste it. And this is the extreme favor, so I rotate it backwards just a little bit, copy it, paste it. This is drawing number 9. 9 and 25 match each other. You can start to rotate it backwards, copy it, add a drawing after, paste it. All right, so this is drawing 27. 27 matches drawing position number 11. Copy it, add a drawing, paste it. This is our 13 position, 13 and 29 match. Rotate it a little bit, copy it. And this is our last position. in this new cycle, paste it. It is drawing 31, which matches the 15 position, which is right here. All right, so now what we're just going to look at is this hand moving asynchronously with the feet. Watch. So look at the blue leg hit the ground. Just watch this blue leg. Beat, 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 and then get the beat in your head. Beat, 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 and then look up. And you can see that the hand reaches its extreme 4 frames later. So if you wanted to experiment this, if you were very comfortable with your walk cycle, this is a way to get that asynchronous action happening just with putting the delay on the hands itself. All right, so let's do the arm, just so we can see what it looks like. From our number 1 position here, we're gonna go back to our pencil. And we're just gonna draw this in here. So one of the things that's really tricky about doing an extreme favor like this is that you have to be really careful with your lines. Now we're going to go to the next drawing. And now this is moving just a little bit. This arm, this elbow is moving just a little bit. And then in 5, now it's moving even just a little bit. So the top arm might not be moving at all. In fact, it started going down a little bit. So you have to pay attention to the direction. You don't have to do this if you don't want, but here it's starting to come forward again, but it's an extreme favor. And then follow. So you knew this is working. Straighten the arm out a little bit. It's right there. Straighten it out even a little more. And even a little more. You can see where the elbow position was from our original cycle, so that's fine. So I'm straightening the arm out, and then I'm going to bend it again. As it goes into that extreme position here, I'm going to bend it again. So all I'm going to do is kind of make the elbow favor each other and let the hand do its work. That's going to take all the favoring for me. All right, just so like we talked about this last week, it's that we do not talk about how the hips are rotating. We don't talk about how the shoulders and the hips are cantilevering to each other. Because we're in the side view, we can get away with just being flat. It's okay. All right, so now that we've got this new right arm here, let's take a look at it. I don't like that. I'm going to redraw these lines. All right, and then remember that the away arm here is just very simple, very easy. So just in this demonstration right here, all we're looking at is asynchronous action happening. Even though it's overlapping, it's just asynchronous. It's happening at a different time. The hand now is reaching its extreme at 5 and 21, where the feet are reaching their east and west extreme at 1 and 17. That's all we did, is we redid the timing so that the hands are reaching their extreme left and right positions, east and west positions on 5 and 21. And the feet are reaching their east and west, left and right extremes on 1 and 17. Again, this is more of an intermediate approach, you do not have to do it this way. But you can see that it's different timing. Everything is more loose. It's not rigid anymore. It's broken up. It's asynchronous timing. I do know I did this really fast. I think I think I might like to take the arm and make it straighter in the back position. But that's essentially how you get the asynchronous overlapping action. Again, this is more of an intermediate level of doing the walk cycle, and the away arm it's not there yet. All right, so let me come back out of this a little bit and just explain that once you've got this notion in your mind just about breaking up the action in terms of different timings, different charts, whether you're favoring and extreme favoring, what we can do is an example. So in here, the idea of saying that we had a bouncing ball and we were always doing our bouncing ball as realistic as possible. And we were saying that our bouncing ball was either a tennis ball or a super ball or something like that. And then we added the squash, and then we added the stretch, and then we added the ball coming up, and it's still moving fast, but then it slows down. And that means the spaces get closer and closer and closer together. So right here, there might be 3 or 4 drawings. This is a cluster right here. All right, so I want you to just imagine that the coyote has run off the cliff and that he's now going to hold in midair before he starts to move downwards. So not only is it an exaggeration, but it's an extreme cluster of the coyote hanging in midair and an extreme favor of that position before he just zips off the screen. And the coyote doesn't even need to go on this arc. He could just start from here and move laterally away from the edge of the cliff. And he's going to cluster and he's going to extreme favor this key position here. So that's what was going on. That's what Chuck Jones was doing. He was exaggerating. He was doing a hold on this extreme favor position of the coyote, just slowing into this position and then holding up the sign, uh-oh, before he zipped off the screen on ones going down straight. All right, does that make any sense to anybody at all? Put my glasses back on. All right, so let's take a look at that hand movement again, now that we're at 100%. And you can really see it there. Again, I think that I would like to straighten out the arm in the back position. You can see the Richard Williams drawing right under here that it's just a little straighter. That would be just a correction, but essentially the timing is correct. And I think that I would just redraw the hand or the arm because the hand is in the right position already. All right, can you feel it, everyone? Is the playback happening through Zoom close enough that you can tell what's happening? So that's just another way of handling more of an intermediate level. And remember that all of this stuff right here is important. All of these numbers and the arc of motion and the timing and realizing you're having a cluster of frames where the drawings are really, really close to each other and you're either favoring or an extreme favor. And these ideas here are what 2D animation is all about. And that's why we approach the idea of timing, spacing, favoring, extreme favoring in 2D first before you get to 3D, because in 3D, when you have your graph editor, all you have to do is like push that puppy and you can get this extreme favor to be amazingly accurate instead of lines just flapping around any part. And then that makes the 3D part of it easier, as long as you understand what was actually going on here in terms of position, arcs of motion, whether you're doing on things halves or quarters or thirds or favoring or extreme favoring. All right, so hopefully that made a little bit of sense. And again, we just spent a half hour on this. It's just another way of doing the walk cycle. But I wanted to put it out there for you, because when you are looking at just a 2D animated walk cycle, and you see different characters in different poses, how do you make them look different? Not only how do you make them look different, but how do you put it in character? If we were looking at this character right here carrying his little sack, it might be very easy. Your director might say, you know what? I don't have any money. I don't have any time. If you want to put a little up and down motion on the head and the body, go ahead, but I don't want it. All I need is the feet to be moving around, because when you come out of Toon Boom, you're just going to export a sprite sheet, and I'm only going to give you 8 drawings, because this character is going to loop, 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 and the background is going to pan behind them, and that's all you have. And so you look at the character, you see this character here's doing a strut. What does this arc of motion look like? So if I could draw in zoom. So this arc of motion right here is that this foot is going to land. So I'll use the ankle position, and then it's going to continue on the ground plane, and then it's going to go like this. So this arc of motion for a strut is like this. Remember we talked about this earlier? And all of these are regular, but this one's different. This guy's like, woohoo! You know, he just won the lottery. So let's take a look at a couple of other ones. Let's find something that's different, right? I'm not seeing anything that's looking too different. This one's a little different. So this is like a adolescent version of Bart Simpson here. Let me get my drawing tool back. Come on, Zoom, wake up. Zoom. All right, so with this one of Bart right here, you can see that this front position is really high. And so if I were to just imagine what his arc of motion looks like, this foot's going to hit the ground plane, and then I'm going to go backwards. So this had a really low arc in the back, and then a really high one in the front. And just by the way you draw that arc of motion, if you can kind of zoom in on it. And so that these characters are all facing the right. And Bart's, it's very similar to this one, right? So it has a very low position in the back and a high position in the front. When we talk about run cycles, we'll go through this, that a run cycle, the feet look like this. A run cycle looks like this. And one of the really cool things was that during the Beijing Olympics, the cameras were dedicated to follow, I'm going to draw like a top view of the track. And so the athletes were running counterclockwise. They always run counterclockwise. But the cameras were dedicated either on a wire or computer controlled or something to follow the runners exactly. And like the first 3 runners had dedicated cameras to them. But at the Beijing Olympics, they had a big wall around most of the field. And when the cameras were following them, this wall was tall enough that if the athletes were wearing a shoe that was a contrasting color to the background, and often it was because this wall was white and it had some advertisements on it, or it was a light color and it had some advertisements on it, and they were wearing like these neon orange shoes. And because the frame rate was only 30 or even 60 FPS, they were running so fast that it was blurring, that the neon orange shoes were blurring. And because the camera was following them precisely, that you could see the arc of motion like super clear. You might even be able to see this on some of the videos that might still be posted on YouTube. It was brilliant. I'm like, oh my God. You could see that, you know, this character is running this way. They were running this way. In fact, one of the most interesting ones was the character was running like this, and their feet were like this. And so this arc of motion here was incredible. It was like on the ground, up in the air, and then down on the ground again. It was amazing. It wasn't even like this. It was just, it was really, really high. The back foot was really high. And the near foot landed like almost right underneath there where their head was. Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's like, I don't even care who wins. This is so cool to just watch this. All right, so you can see the difference between what the arc would look like on a walk cycle and what we can expect the walk cycle or the run cycle to look like for its arc as well. So that's just a little glimpse. All right, I'm gonna erase this. All right, is everyone okay with that little extra demonstration? You don't have to do it that way. You only have to do it that way if you're super convinced that it would be easy for you. I thought I would just put it out there because when you're doing a walk cycle, when I was looking for any particular animation gig going from one studio to another back and forth, you want to show a demo reel. And you always put your walk cycle. The director can always tell what you're thinking and who your character is by what their walk cycle looks like. And every character should have a different walk cycle. If you have 10 different characters in your portfolio, they should all have a different kind of walk cycle. They should all be different. And when you're looking at animation, you can say, well, I've been watching Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia, the Guillermo del Toro TV series. It said that it was rated for TV 7, so that 7-year-olds, 7 to 14-year-olds, but some of the things they do are really scary for second graders. It's like, what? You know, they killed that guy. I'm not sure second graders are, well, maybe they are. 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds are okay with monsters dying, with a blade being stuck inside their belly and all the glowy super effects lights. Okay.
I think I was reading like Stephen King level books by like 10.
Wow.
I also didn't have like parents though, so I probably shouldn't have been.
What did you have? Robots?
No, my parents just weren't really present. I just kind of did what I wanted in terms of
Wow.
reading.
And that's a very challenging way to grow up.
Oh, that's fine. I was
But,
just
you
saying,
know-
like I didn't really watch TV shows that were like higher content, but I was reading intense books by like age 10 or 12.
I discovered very early that my uncle was an extremely racist teacher,
Yikes.
and he taught economics at Cleveland Community College. And it's
That's
like,
bad class for a racist person to be teaching.
Yeah. And my
Not
dad,
that there's a good one, just to get that off the table.
yeah, my dad and my brother just sucked it up. And if they weren't racist before, they became racist. And
Yeah,
so I kind of stayed away from them and tried to let them do their own thing. And it's like, I can't run away when I'm 11.
right. Yeah,
You know, it's not, I'll wait till I'm done with college. I'm going to run away to college. That's what I'll do.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about my mom because she would just sit there and be quiet. But my first girlfriend that I brought home was of a different faith
Oh,
than hers. And oh my God, I realized that she was anti-Semitic and racist as well in my junior year in college. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm done
Yeah.
with this family.
similar experiences.
All right, that was a deviation, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just me saying that I don't know what kids probably should be reading or watching.
All right, well, I like Tales of Arcadia, but when you see the Jim character and the Claire character running, their runs are almost identical. When they're walking, their walks are almost identical. And they're sending it to a production studio overseas. It could be South Korea, it could be Taiwan, it could be the Philippines, it could be China. I haven't done my research, but it's not the biggest budget. There are 32 20-minute episodes, so that means that there are about 12 hours of animation in the whole thing. So it was like, hey, Chloe, let's go to a movie. What movie do you want to see? Let's go see Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia. Okay, how long is the movie? It's 12 hours. Would you go, oh my God, I'm not going to go see that. But if you break it up into 20-minute episodes, you watch the whole thing. My daughter, like, she binge watches stuff.
Oh yeah, the same. I watch 2 or 3 shows a week.
She'll watch 6 shows a day sometimes.
Okay,
Six
I'm not that crazy.
6 half-hour shows a day of something.
Oh, I mean, like I'll watch a show in its entirety 2 or 3 times a week.
Not right. She watches that in a day. She binges stuff. So anyway, it's so this is your walk cycle. Please use the same folder for any updates next week. I will not grade these this week. I will wait until next week. All right. And then I wanted to make one more thing to you. What I am considering is that we'll do the run cycle next. You know, next week I'll introduce you to the run cycle, and it's going to be much of the same kind of numbers and timing and stuff, very similar. But once you've got that, all you've got to do is get the jump. And so if you look at the storyboard Pinterest, and you see that I put some stuff in there for jumping, you'll see, oh, let me go to the board. Let me go back to camera. You'll see that I posted a couple of different jumps. You'll see that I put like a standing jump or a guy running over a box. And once you click on these, you'll get a whole bunch of things that are associated with it. These 2 are identical. Here's another one. And you'll see that you'll get a whole bunch of things that are similar to it. So I thought I would share that with you just to get the idea of what your jump might look like. And then next week, we'll also talk about just how to do thumbnails, how to take this whole thing into the thumbnail phase so that you get an idea of where you're going to start, where you're going to go to, what's your next shot. And we're not going to do a full storyboard demonstration, just the thumbnails to get you through it. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was that I was highly considering that what the emphasis is going to be on the walk and the run and the jump, and the final film was just extra. So if you wanted to do the walk and the run and the jump catch things separately, that's the meat of our class. But putting them together will be just extra. You don't have to have a perfect film at the end of it. It'll just be extra credit, if you will. But the meat is on the walk and the run and the jump catch. And the jump catch is easy. The jump catch will do last because it's really easy. But if you can put them together, that would be great. If not, the concentration from now until the end of the semester is just getting the walk done, getting the run going. It's easy, and the jump catch is pretty easy too. And man, if you can put it together to make a run, jump, catch, even better. Okay? Perfect. All right, we'll see you all next week.
Alrighty, thanks, Billy.
All right,
Hi,
ciao for now.
Billy.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Ciao for now, everybody.